Hi, I'm Sartaj Garewal, and you are watching the Boys Podcast.
I cannot believe that you gave it away after everything I went through. Sweat, tears, goose poo.
I could report you for hacking into a faculty computer.
Just try it, Gem Rustler.
I'm sorry, but the collector is not someone you can refuse. If you do, well, I've been told what happens to you and those close to you. Please, Jerome, drop this. For Fabian's sake more than mine.
What, and let him just get away and keep it?
The only way to get it back is to offer the collector something he wants even more.
Go on.
The gem once belonged to the Frobisher Smythes. That makes it irresistible to the collector. Trudy! Where's Trudy? What's going on? Where's Trudy? You promised we had a deal!
We had no deal. You came up with those terms, I did not. You need reminding about who's in charge here.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Boys Podcast. Today I'm joined by a wonderfully talented actor. What's your name, sir?
Hi, I'm Sartaj Garewal.
Welcome, Sartaj. I got some questions to ask you.
Okay, great.
Okay, so what have you, been up to?
So what have I been up to since House of Anubis, or in any particular time frame?
Sorry. 2020, 2021, like that.
Ah, right. Wow. Okay, wow. It's been the weirdest time for everybody, right? So it's all about just trying to survive. 2020, 21. I tell you what was really interesting when the pandemic first arrived, sort of early March 2020, when, it appeared as though it was going to have significant impact on life in the West. What was looking like quite a nice diary of work for the year just kind of, bit by bit went. Within about a week, everything had gone. So from March 2020 till September, I didn't work at all.
Wow.
At all. And I have young children. I have twin girls who are now 3. That time it was before their second birthday. So to put the two things together for 6 months, luckily my wife was able to continue working from home. So I was just looking after the kids every day. And at that stage, even playgrounds had been shut and, all of that. Back when we did lockdowns properly. So I was daddy daycare center. And that is an amazing thing as well, because not that many people get to spend that much time with their kids when they're that age.
I like that. Family first, that's what I like to say, like family first.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Had it been normal times, I would have been away periodically for filming and doing other sorts of work that I do, et cetera, which is absolutely fine. That's just life for most people during normal times, right? So, there was something very, very good about spending all of that time on a daily basis with young kids.
Oh, you look young. Like, you have 2 kids. You look like in your 30s, I want to say.
Oh, keep it coming. Keep it coming.
You look like you're in your 30s, Sartaj.
I'm in my 40s. Well into my 40s.
Oh, that's crazy. I'm sorry. I thought you're like 32.
Oh, I love this. I love this guy. You can be my buddy, Joe, anytime.
Awesome. Thank you, Sartaj. Okay, so what made you want to become an actor? And who would you say is your biggest inspiration for acting?
What made me want to become an actor? Who was my biggest inspiration? Okay. Well, my background before becoming an actor wasn't kind of the usual route. If we were to describe the usual route as somebody who perhaps knows at an early stage they want to be an actor, they do drama school, and off they go and work. Mine was completely different. Acting was not in my family or in my friendship circles whatsoever. It's not something that was really around me. So I had studied finance. I had worked in a fund for a fund manager, an investment bank in London. I worked in other sort of financial roles. And I quickly realized that is not what I wanted to do. So for me, the most powerful thing was the demotivating effect of having a regular office job. Okay. That I really reacted against. And at the same time, particularly as a student, when I was studying finance, I just watched hundreds and thousands of films, everything I could, anything and everything that to me was considered quality. So, you know, of course, name a big time director and I'll be into Scorsese and all the obvious kind of names, back to Fellini and auteurs and, you know, real art house stuff. And so I made film, I guess, to some extent, my sort of religion in a way. And it was really just overdosing on film as a student that, you know, that got me to the point hubristically of saying, hey, I think I could do that.
Wow.
And so I did.
That's really cool. You know, I think you're very talented at what you do.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Yeah, because I've seen your work like in House of Anubis. I've seen your Men in Black International link for work. I saw you in that.
Sorry, I missed that one. Your House of Anubis, and what was the other one?
Men in Black International.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Right.
I think you're very talented at what you do. So that's really cool. You know?
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. What would you say is your favorite role that you portrayed? Would you say?
Favorite role that I've portrayed? I did a play a few years ago here in the UK. So it's theatre production. The show was called Wipers, and which is a mispronunciation of Ypres, which is the French city, French town. So during World War One. And this is kind of, you know, not really known. During World War I and, in fact, World War II, many Indian soldiers fought. And they didn't fight just over in Asia and places like Burma. They fought because they were part of the British Army at that time, the British Indian Army. They fought all over the place. And many people died, etc., etc. And, you know, people who are kind of well steeped in military history, who we spoke to, would say things like we couldn't, you know, England, but the Allied forces, in fact, could not have won the war without the amount of human capital they had from Asia, from the West Indies, so on and so forth. So back to your question, I played a character. There were three of us who were holed up in a barn, and we are Indian soldiers. In fact, we played a Muslim regiment, because that's how the British Army organized it, by religion. And so we played soldiers who were fighting on behalf of the British Army and not necessarily understanding why we were in Ypres doing this. And so that role was quite close to home. Both of my grandfathers, both dead now, but both of my grandfathers fought in the British Indian Army. So there was something of a kind of paying homage to them by playing that character in that production.
I like that. It was really cool that they served. I like that. Thank you for serving. So, yeah.
No, pleasure.
Okay. Now, what would you see? My favorite role for you is like House of Anubis. What is your favorite episode? What was your favorite episode of film and favorite character? You know, other than Jasper, of course. You know, who's your favorite character?
Oh wow, that is a good question. Let me take that second question first, and I'll come back to the first. So, secondly, who's my favorite character? Well, as you'd have seen, I spent a lot of time with Eugene Simon, right? Sure. So, who played Jerome. Mm-hmm. Correct me if I get any of this wrong, because I think you probably know the show better than I do, right? So I spent a fair bit of time with him because we had a lot of scenes together, and I enjoyed working with him a lot. And I love working with Francis McGee, who plays. You tell me who he plays.
Victor.
There you go. And Victor is he's a wonderful character. He's an incredible character because you kind of, you know, he's rough around the edges, and he's quite spiky, and ultimately he's a soft-centered soul. that who does the right thing, who does the good thing, and ultimately he you know, he's there for the kids, but you know, he's just outwardly spiky. And that's probably not dissimilar to how I am in, you know, day-to-day life. So there's something about that character I really adored.
So
yeah.
Victor.
Yeah, we'll go Victor and Jerome. There we go. They're the ones who I probably gravitated towards.
Okay. Now, did you have a favorite episode you filmed, would you say?
Oh, wow. You see, now there's so many cobwebs in the way. I can't even think of it via episode. I'm glad I wasn't in the episode when the kids had to climb through like 10 meters of soil. And yeah, we had to bring somebody in to put real big bugs and whatever into it, because that was part of the scene. You know, we needed to see all these bugs and the kids climbing through. So I'm really glad I wasn't in that episode. There was an episode, actually, me and Jerome, me and Eugene filmed, where we were kind of running around looking for the Frobisher, what you call it, and so we were doing a lot of kind of running around these outhouses, peering from the corner of buildings, and all of that sort of corny stuff, which I found quite good fun. But to be honest, I just, there wasn't really a day I didn't enjoy. It was a fun show. And you know, it's one of those things that you could always have ideas and mention whatever was on your mind to the director, producer, and say, you know, maybe I could do a little of this and perhaps not so much that. And if there was time and scope, then you know, you could try your things out on set.
Yeah, I like that, because I really like that show. Like, I think that was like my favorite show as a kid, you know, growing up, like watching this show.
Okay, so let me think now. Hold on a minute. How many years ago was Anubis on now?
It's been 10 years, actually.
Crikey, 10 years. And so how old are you now?
19.
You're 19. Oh, okay. So you were, right, perfect age. You were 9 years old, 8, 9 years old, whatever. And so, yeah, that was our audience, of course. It's incredible how you've, do you think you've seen every single episode, by the way?
Mm-hmm. I've seen them.
At least once, maybe twice?
5 times.
5 times? Oh, wow, that is impressive. I mean, wow, that's incredible. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really cool. I really liked the show. Like all the seasons were good, but I think Jasper like had a great like development. Like it was really cool. And like the moment where you took off the collector, so I'd be like, no, I can't do it. But like, you know, you did it. But it was really cool and well done. And you really did really good with that.
Okay, yeah, I recall all of that now. And look, the interesting thing with Jasper was certainly to begin with, and for a little while, of just playing the ambiguity of, is he a good guy? Is he just like a straight up teacher and he, you know, he looks square and boring, and is that him? Or is he a little bit dark and weird and sinister? And so I really enjoyed playing with the kind of, I don't know either element of that.
Yeah.
You know, it turns out there isn't particularly anything dark or sinister about Jasper. Or if there is, we never saw it. How about that?
Yeah. When filming, did you guys know who the collector was? Like, you know, sometimes they don't say like who the main villain is. Did you guys know who the collector was? Mm-hmm.
Yes and no. So to begin with, and for a large part of time, for you know a big amount of time, no, we didn't know, because it's so easy for someone to just mention it in passing and go, "Oh, sorry, we haven't filmed that bit yet," or whatever. That it's just much, much, much safer for them to keep things under wraps. And then it gets to a point where hold on a minute, we've either worked it out and or we need to film this thing, so we're gonna have to know.
Yeah. Wow. Because that's crazy. Because like I remember, like I've interviewed like an actor who's like in a horror TV show, like with, you know, like Scream, for example. You know, Scream with like the killer or something. Like they didn't know like who the killer was until they got, you know, killed off. You know.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can only keep a surprise like that, a secret like that, under wraps for so long, because it comes to that point when, and it's like, well, we all know without you telling us. We all know. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you could pick any role in any movie, TV show, play, etc.? Or is there a role you really want to do that you haven't done yet, but you really want to do it?
Oh, wow. If you'd asked me that sort of, 15, 20 years ago, I'd have said things like, I want to play Hamlet, I want to play, Henry V, etc. And then you live and learn and get a bit older and you think, God, I don't want to learn all those lines. That's ridiculous. I tell you what I enjoy more than anything is new writing.
Okay.
I like new writing. So there isn't necessarily a role that I've seen that I'd kind of go, oh, wow. I mean, you could take a brilliant performance like Joaquin Phoenix in Joker, for example. Yeah. And it'd be easy to say, oh, wow, amazing. I wish I could have played that role. And actually, no, it's been done. It's been done. So the roles I would love to play and are the ones that would, in a way, like Wipers, sort of connect with me personally.
Okay.
So, the Wipers, the theatre production I mentioned, I felt a connection with my own history, to my grandparents, my grandfathers in particular. And so that's a role that really sits well with me and means something to me. So I guess whatever the role is, it would have to have something that I really personally connect with.
Okay.
That, and the less pretentious answer would be comedy.
Comedy.
Comedy. And improv. I love improvising.
Okay, I like that.
Whether it's within a take, which you kind of sometimes can do a little bit, or certainly in just how you create a character and leading up to the actual filming or theatre production. To be able to sort of hone bits in the script.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I told you, like, it's a hobby. Because I want to become like a director. I like to write scripts.
Okay.
Okay.
So were you writing scripts already?
Yes.
So in your mind's eye, what do you think, theatre or film?
I actually do both.
Okay, great, fantastic. So are you? I mean, okay, the last year and a half, I'm going to presume, has been tricky to make stuff. I don't know. You tell me. Are you making things now?
Sure, it was. You're right, though. I can't see COVID. It's hard to go out in a way.
Right. Okay. All right. And so, what would you want to make? What would you love to make?
I would like to make like a comedy or like a mystery time travel type of thing.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So those are like the type of things I like to write, like mysteries, time travels, comedies, action, adventure, those type of genres.
Okay, great. Well, look, I will look forward to seeing your work, and I've got no doubt that you'll get it together, when things start opening up, which they are a little bit. Now, whereabouts are you in the States?
Well, I'm in Chicago, the Chicagoland area, Illinois.
Okay. All right. I've only ever been there once.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I remember going up to Sears Tower once. This is a long time ago.
Wow. That'd be cool. Like, I wish I could go to England. That'd be really cool to travel to England.
Well, yeah, soon you will be able to. Have you been here before?
No. I would love to go. I would love to,
Yeah, sure. Yeah, look, the more places we can go, etc., it's interesting. And right now you've got a planet of people who are just itching to get on a plane and go somewhere, anywhere.
Because I would love to go like to Manchester or London. Those two places in particular.
Okay. Yeah, Manchester is pretty cool. I did a play there years ago. I did Romeo and Juliet at the Manchester Royal Exchange, which is in terms of reputation and class, it's a very big theatre. Andy Garfield played Romeo, and this is clearly before he became kind of superstar, Spider-Man, blah, 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 everything else that he went on to do. So he was Romeo. And actually, the girl who played Juliet has also gone on to do huge amounts of work. Gugu and Bata Raw.
What would you say?
Her first name is Gugu, and the surname Gugu, and the surname is Mbata Raw. Check her out, then you'll see how you probably would go, oh, I recognize her. But anyway, I was in that production. That's kind of fun. But it's only because you said Manchester that I remembered.
Okay, that's really cool because he's actually, believe it or not, my favorite Spider-Man. All the 3 Spider-Mans I have. He's my favorite.
Ah, okay. All right.
Really cool. Okay.
Cool.
Now, over the years of your career, do you still keep in touch with co-stars and directors? You still keep in touch?
Yeah, I do. I suppose what's happened with me and possibly some of the other actors and directors that I know is there are certain friendships that were made perhaps earlier on in your career. And, I've stuck with some of those people as friends. And so I've known them 15, 20 years or whatever. And so, and then, the older you get, you have kids, there's less free time in the day. And so when you do meet someone who's really cool, you think, yeah, we could potentially hang out or whatever, then there's less likelihood of it happening. But, this weekend, as a sport, I appreciate this will make no sense to you. The sport of cricket, England are playing India in London, and I'm going along to see the match with a friend of mine, and we did a play together 6 years ago. So yeah, definitely do keep in touch. And also, there's kind of personal keeping in touch. I see a friend for a drink, I have them around for dinner, or whatever. And then there's professional keeping in touch with people. In other words, people will still have me on their radar in terms of, oh, would you like to read for this part, audition for this, etc., etc. So yeah, there's kind of 2 circuits, if you will, a professional keeping in touch and more of a sort of a friendship as well.
Now, who would you say is the coolest you work with, the coolest person? It might be tough. Who's your coolest person?
Wow. Who's the coolest person I've worked with? Man, you ask difficult questions. I don't know. That's kind of tricky. That is kind of tricky. To me, I tell you what, right? To me, what is really cool, if you're doing a play or if you're doing any type of filming, is to be kind and to be generous. I think that's the coolest thing anyone could be.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who will, well, certainly some people who could get a little carried away with being on set, and perhaps their egos have got the better of them, etc., etc., etc. And you just kind of think, hey, this is play, this is fun. Yes, we're trying to make something. Yes, we're getting paid, and that's important. And ultimately, if a movie or a theatre production doesn't get put on, the world is not going to stop spinning. So, working that backwards, there's really no time or place for people who are not going to be kind or generous. So, I would say, who's the coolest, therefore who's the kindest and generous man? There's so many different little snippets and moments of things. I can remember working with the director who was kind of, who's well known, and he just made himself a very available, and he was incredibly kind. And he was just like, look, just try it. There's no such thing as wrong. I was like, okay, thank you. There's no such thing as wrong. Whatever you want to do, just try it. It's cool. What's the worst that's going to happen? So that takes no time to say or share. So anyone who gives kindness and little snippets of generosity on set is doing everybody a huge favor. Yeah, that's how I'm going to answer your question there.
I like that. Because I would say it's the same thing too. Like if the person was nice and cool and helpful too, I'd say the same thing. Yeah,
absolutely that. There's really, because it really is an ensemble mentality that gets us through it. If we sort of keep ourselves to ourselves and just worry about our own bit, etc. I mean, okay, all you can do as an actor is worry about your own bit. But what I mean is, if you don't have the spirit of collaboration, then it's a little bit weird. And I kind of go, well, what am I doing this job for?
Yeah. Right. Okay. If you weren't an actor, what would your career be, and what other interests and hobbies do besides acting?
What other? Well, here's the thing, because I already do other things outside of acting, and I guess I always have done. One of the things that I've kind of always had a vested interest in, and certainly my father always has, and so we've always had these conversations over the years and made decisions, is to invest.
Okay.
So, as boring as it sounds, to save some money and then, go, well, okay, how can I use that bit of money to make more? And that's actually something that for me has come good again over the last year and a half. Because if I've not ostensibly not had that much work for March to September of last year. And so I started my kind of trading and investing life again, which was fascinating. And I love doing that. So that's one thing. And the other thing is I have a business called Dynamic Presenting, whereby I get involved in leadership development, executive coaching. So in other words, working for big businesses, big corporates, and helping to using a lot of theater techniques and things that I know as an actor to improve people's presentation skills and public speaking ability, for example.
I like that. Yeah, because I like it's good that you mentioned dynamic presenting too. That's really cool. Because I wanted to mention that. Cool.
Beg your pardon, because you wanted to do what?
I wanted you to mention it, so that's cool that you mentioned.
Okay.
Oh, good. Okay. Now, do you have a favorite band and or artist and type of music? What would you say?
This is really interesting. I was talking to my wife about this the other day, going, we don't listen to music anymore. Because, we do, but the music tends to be stuff that 3-year-olds listen to. It's a Hey Dougie, or it's Peppa Pig, or it's whatever it was we were dancing to yesterday, something called I'm a Gummy Bear, right? This is what happens. Maybe you'll find out one day. And so you kind of realize, oh my God, I haven't actually listened to Prince or the Black Keys or Led Zeppelin or anything that I kind of like in a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. And, Public Enemy, the last time I was kind of curious about music I used to listen to as a teenager, I went through a bit of a Public Enemy trip down memory lane, which I enjoyed. Saw them live, actually, a couple of times in London, which is fantastic. God, wow. But, I'm boringly going to have to say, musical tastes of mine are so eclectic. These days, if I'm driving somewhere and I'm going to put the radio on, familiar sounds of 80s pop.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe 70s to 80s pop. Maybe early 90s a little. Is very reassuring, calming, and like a lovely feel.
Like that. Because believe it or not, my parents, they raised me on 80s music. So when you said that, I was like, yes, he knows the good music.
So like in the 80s, pop was pop.
Yeah.
It really was. 90s, we still had pop. And then, then the big dream of, hey, everyone can listen to whatever they want via new technology has taken place. Okay. And that's kind of great on the one hand. On the other hand, we now don't have a common platform or forum where everybody, you, I, and my mother would all have heard the same song. And we could all go, I like it, I don't like it, whatever, have an opinion about it, right? That doesn't really exist anymore because it's now very, very splintered and people are listening to their own personal kind of real interest, whatever they may be. Hey, I miss pop. That's what I'm saying. And back in the 80s, we did pop properly.
I like that. Because I don't know if I told you, I actually got to meet my favorite band of all time.
Who's this?
Okay, so they're British, if it helps. In their 70s, 80s, and partly 90s, because their singer passed away in the 90s. Does that help?
Okay, the singer passed away in the 90s, and the British 70s, 80s. It went from the 70s. Wow. Oh, man.
There's so many genres. There's a lot of genres. They sing a lot of genres of those.
Hmm. No, I can't think. You're gonna have to help me.
Okay, so they sing, if that helps you, We Are the Champions.
Oh, okay. Queen.
Yeah.
Yes. Now there's a film, by the way. Have you seen Bohemian Rhapsody?
That was a great film. I think that was really good.
I thought it was a fantastic film. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but what a performance! And the whole film, I thought, worked incredibly well. Also, I saw Rocket Man, and for some reason, I hated the first 5 minutes. I thought, oh, this is no, stop, just stop. And I sat stuck with it, and I was like, well, okay, it's improved. Okay, it's improved a lot. Oh wow, this is really good. For some reason, I hated the first few minutes. Don't ask me why.
I actually agree with you. Same here. The first 5 minutes were like, what the hell? What the heck am I watching? You know? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
If you had the same experience, that's interesting.
Yeah, because I thought it was better. Like at the end. I think my favorite part of the movie for that Rocket Man was the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road scene. Do you remember that song?
Oh, why can't I remember that?
That was towards like the end when his manager was saying that a little bit, and then he came out of the building. It was like, it's hard to explain. He came out of the building and he sang it too a little bit.
Yeah, I can't. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again now. I can't visualize it.
Yeah, let's skip the first 5 minutes, right? Yeah, because I met Queen like Brian May.
You met Brian May?
Yes.
Oh wow! Oh, wow, he was just in the press. He's leaving London. He's had enough of London. I was reading. Yeah, his home got flooded and stuff. I worked with his wife actually. She's lovely.
I think her name's Anita.
That's right, Anita Dobson.
Yes.
So back in 80s, 90s, she was a household name in a show called EastEnders.
Okay.
Which is still, one of our big soap dramas. But she was in that. So, I mean, absolutely everybody in the country was watching it. And she and the character she was married to, who ran the local pub, were completely central to everything that happened. And it was kind of riveting stuff. Anyway, I worked with her in radio drama, which I've done quite a lot of.
Wow, because I met Brian and Roger. I couldn't meet Freddie, of course, because he passed away in the 90s.
So you went to see a show and met them that way, I'm guessing?
Yes. I spent my own money because I saved my money up, and I spent my own money, got backstage passes, wanted to meet my favorite band. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. Well done.
I like because when you said investing, I was like, he's right, because I like to save money up to invest the money. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to get something, you gotta make a few sacrifices, right? So save and invest or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this might be tough. Favorite sports and favorite teams.
That's easier. That's easier for me. All right. Here's the thing. Okay, for sports, football, i.e., soccer, not the round ball, people, not the oval ball. Okay. So football, tennis, cricket, boxing. And then, as I would call it, American football.
Okay.
We don't just call that football over here. That's American football. Most people here play rugby or are into rugby. Weirdly, when I grew up, rugby didn't really connect. I did play a little bit of American football.
Oh.
Badly, but the exercise and discipline around it was all good, and so that's what I was there for, really. Plus, I didn't get the opportunity to be a quarterback, and I knew I would have been the world's best quarterback. So everyone else is lost, not mine. And in terms of teams, so here my hometown is called Swindon. It's Swindon. You would never have heard of this place, and don't worry. When you do come here, Joe, don't bother going there. Not a lot happens there. Okay. If you've heard of Bristol, it's kind of roughly halfway between London and Bristol, roughly halfway. And so, because I was born and raised there, I've always supported, Swindon's football team. And once you kind of fall for a team and support them, it's a little bit difficult, or it's very fake to then jump ship and support somebody else later in life. So Swindon is my team. In terms of kind of big Premier League teams, I like Liverpool.
Okay.
And then I support England in all national sports, apart from cricket, because it's the only sport that India turn up in, and I support India in cricket.
I like that. Do you have a favorite American football team?
Chicago Bears.
Hey, that's crazy.
Hey, Illinois, come on. Here we go, people. Because, you know, I fell in love with American football. There used to be a show in the UK that just had a particular format that made it really interesting to, you know, the average 11-year-old, 12-year-old, wherever I was around that time. And this was when we had, you know, William the Fridge Perry, Walter Payton, Mike Ditka was head coach. You know, it's that era. So it was the Super Bowl winning era.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's when I got into American football, you know, during that. And it was just, wow, this is the team. And so is that still the only Super Bowl appearance, or have they been beaten in a final?
They've been in that one, and they also got beaten in 2007.
That's right, yeah. And so it's been sort of, you know, I'd like to kind of just occasionally see how they're doing, and you go, oh, they got Green Bay, oh dear, you know, because that's always, of course. Oh, they got the Vikings, and that's similar. But yeah, you know, it's about time they had a resurgence, a revival, a something, you know, Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots. You look at what they've done. Yeah. It's time. Even the 49ers are due something of a revival and a bit of a reinvigoration, right? But the Bears definitely are. They've been languishing for too long.
Wow, because I've actually interviewed somebody from that team. Do you remember Willie Galt, or Speedy Willie, they called him?
Uh-huh.
The receiver, I actually interviewed him on the podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because when you mentioned the team, I was like, see, see, they're cool already. Sartaj, I never knew you. Okay. What would you say is your favorite food, and why is it your favorite? What do you say? Favorite
food? You know, I am into so many different things. I love Lebanese cuisine because it's fresh, it's relatively healthy. You know, got grilled meat, really good salads. It's great. Increasingly, I enjoy sushi. Certain classic things in England, like a Sunday roast. So that's a roast chicken, a roast beef, or roast pork, roast potatoes, vegetables, and a ton of gravy on it with a Yorkshire pudding. There's a particular unique English thing. That's a classic. And what tops it all would be my mum's rice and peas with chicken curry, chicken on the bone, chicken curry on the bone. Has to be on the bone.
I'm hungry.
That's the best. That's the best thing that I could eat.
I like that. See, what I like is pasta or cheeseburgers. I don't know if that's probably a thing in England. I'm assuming it's gotta be.
Oh, of course, Italy's down the road. We have tons of pasta.
I like that. Okay. Now that you're getting back to normal, do you have any projects in the works?
Do I have any projects in the works at the moment? So because it's been such a strange time, you know, I've taken sort of, as many of us would have done, starting to write. And what's interesting is this year in particular, a lot of meetings have started taking place again. So not face-to-face, but for example, you know, previously where I may have met a director and producer in a room and had a chat and maybe read a bit of script as an audition, now that's happening a little bit via Zoom and a lot as self-tapes. Okay. So that means my agent will call me and go, hey, Sartaj, here's 2 or 3 short scenes that the production has sent through. Can you please self-tape and send them back, and then we'll see. So that's really exploded as a way of auditioning now, that, you know, a lot of us will self-tape.
Wow.
Yeah. So to answer your point, so I've taped for several things, some here based here in England, some Indian productions, which I've also dabbled in a little bit in terms of Hindi language movies, and some couple of things based in the States as well. I mean, you know, these, no matter where the production is actually based, things film internationally now because it's just, you know, it's incredibly, it can be incredibly flexible, and it can be economical to film, you know, somewhere like Romania or Czech Republic or Bulgaria or whatever have you, because it's just way cheaper. So you find a lot of filming in places like that. You also find a lot of filming in the UK and in Ireland. It could be, look at Mission Impossible, you know, that's here, that's been filming here for like 14 months at least, I think. Wow. So Tom Cruise has been in London for a long while. Wow. So every few weeks, oh, Tom Cruise was spotted having a curry in such and such a restaurant, etc., etc. So this, you know, these things happen quite a bit.
That'd be cool to meet him. Like if I met him, Tom Cruise, that'd be really cool.
Tom Cruise, yeah, I've never met him. I'm sure it would be pretty cool to meet, you know, people at the top of the tree, etc. I met Sean Connery once when I worked on a movie, just for a very short period. He was nice.
Oh, okay. Now, what's your advice for people that want to become an actor? What's your advice?
Here's the thing. On the one hand, I wouldn't dissuade anybody from wanting to pursue their passion. And if that's acting, great. We are always going to need actors and storytellers and writers, etc. Absolutely. So, you know, if you've really got the burning passion and you're doing the right things, you're making the right choices, you're getting some training, you're more importantly, you're getting stuck into some theatre productions and or writing stories and or making short films, whatever it is. If you've really got a passion and you're doing all of that stuff, go for it. Brilliant. And, you know, thereafter, see how your luck is, frankly. And at the same time, I think there's something of a strange culture in that the culture of just actors who do good work and all they want to do is act, which we, you know, we kind of had that here. And even here it's changed because it's been sort of, it's been changed because there's a lot of people now at home on filming whatever they film, putting it on YouTube. Now, some of that stuff might be good. It may be considered. It may have dramatic merit. It may just be really funny. You know, writing comedy is not easy. So look, if somebody's going to write little scenes and skits and make it work, great. There's a brilliant comedy here called People Just Do Nothing. It's had like 5 series on BBC. It's on Netflix, in fact, now. So I'm hopefully it's on Netflix USA. Check it out. People Just Do Nothing. And it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious anyway. But that started by a bunch of guys who were just, you know, doing their little skits and sketches and putting them onto YouTube. And so, you know, brilliant. It worked for them. That's great. What I kind of question sometimes is some people's motivations. Some people are sort of fame obsessed. And they think that as opposed to wanting to do the work that an actor does, looking, you know, creating a character, working with other actors, improvising where necessary, working with the writer, director, blah, 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 and all of that collaboration, as opposed to necessarily really that, they're kind of more into how many Twitter followers they have, or, you know, doing interviews or walking down a red carpet for anything they happen to have got a ticket for, or any of that stuff. I would question the motivation, because the job itself can be incredibly rewarding in a different, you know, more of a kind of, you know, soul enriching way. And so being a bit of an old fuddy-duddy, I would always want to ensure that anyone who wants to do this wants to do it for the right reasons. Because if you just want to get famous, I don't know, just go out and do something completely different. You'll get famous far easier.
Yeah, can I add to that, stay humble. Remember where you came from, you know? Yeah,
for sure, definitely. You know, the humble piece comes back to my thing about, you know, finding for me the most generous and kind people that I've met in the game the coolest, really, because they were also humble. You know, every job, all of us as actors, directors, will have CVs, and we're trying to prove on our CVs, hey, I've done this many films, I've done this many theatre productions, employ me, etc. You know, a resume, a CV. At the same time, every single job you get as an actor, for me anyway, feels like it's the first job.
Yeah.
It's always the first time I'm doing it. I like that feeling. And that's one of the reasons I keep doing it.
I see.
Just because I've done some stuff before actually doesn't mean that much.
Now, Sartaj, is there anything you would like to promote and shout out, like help you out with, like down below, anything?
Sorry, say that again. Just lost you on audio. Is there anything else I'd like to
promote and shout out, that link down below to help you out, anything?
Oh, God love you. Well, if I had some stuff to promote, I would be promoting it right now. Yeah. But look, if the one thing I will plug is whoever's listening, hi, welcome to Joe's podcast. And if you happen to be somebody or happen to know somebody who needs some help around public speaking and presentation skills, is something that I offer face-to-face and via Zoom as well. I tend to work with big corporates. So, hey, if you're in that kind of a position, give me a shout. Dynamic Presenting or Sartaj at dynamic-presenting.com. Boom. There we go. But it's shameless self-promotion.
Anything help you out, you know, like if you ever need to promote anything, I got you, you know.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Well, have a great day, everybody, and stay awesome, and you stay awesome, Sartaj.
Thank you very much, Joe. Real pleasure to meet you, and goodbye to everyone. Thank you.